Akaqale le meeting. Hello.
Kuthiwe iwu-8 kuyokushaya u8 manje ayiqali kodwa.
Hayi nami ngixakwa yilokho ukuthi kwenzekani manje?
Abaseke siqhubekele umsebenzi wethu.
Undana ukulinda.
Seniyayibeka manje yona nosomlomo.
Honorable Sonjika, I'm going to start presiding over the meeting now.
Siyasebenza thina.
Asibe Dr. Kika presiding as who?
I'm going to start presiding as the speaker, Mr. Honorable Sonjika.
Speaker of what?
Of the legislature.
I
I know you're going to support me, Honorable Sonjika.
No. Dr. Kika, this is not Western Cape.
No, in the Western Cape, they would have started at 8, Honorable Sonjika.
We're not sure. We have not attended any meeting of Western Cape.
No, I have. So that's why I'm saying. I'm just saying.
Attending it as who? there.
and an observer,
Oh, you see? That's the problem.
Observer.
Yes, as a guest in the gallery, you see, you can also go.
You don't have much work in your province. You just go there to sit in the gallery. Hey,
Amongst
you
other
still
things.
need to,
We are not busy, Dr. Kika,
you still need to work in this province.
No, honorable members, when you go on to learn, then we know that the members even went to the House of Commons and sat in the gallery to watch how it's done.
You're not busy.
So
You're not busy. We're too busy for such things.
I understand. You have to be.
say, you will understand what's going on outside.
Unzwa kuselindele ukuya emkhosini omhlanga. You are muted. You are muted, Nzwaki.
Good morning, Chairperson. Yes, you are muted. You need to unmute your microphone. That's better.
Wasemhlangeni.
Ngathi umqhele wendlu lamithi yathi dliwa ngapho Lunda.
Hey.
Awunomqhele.
Uthini wena Zungu?
Unomqhele phela ngeke kube umqhele unomqhele bowesifazane. Wenzeni uNzwakhe? Ubani kufanele aphendule. Ngoba mawuthi wenzeni ubani sekhona ufanele aphendule. Futhi akuphendule wena ke emanzini. Muhle uNzwakhe. Siyabonga.
UNzwakhe uqhelile. Qhelile.
Muhle ngohlobo olubangalisayo.
Uye emhlangeni.
Asibeke bo.
Emhlangeni noma elembeni.
Order. Order. Mr. Speaker.
Morning, honorable members.
Morning, Ms. Mvula.
Let's have a moment of meditation. Thank you. So, honorable members, thank you for making yourselves available for today's special sitting. So the Office of the Speaker was advised to call a special sitting in order to comply with the NCOP process and to enable the legislature to participate in the mandate required at the NCOP. Today's special sitting is being held to deal with the debate and voting on the conferral of the final mandate on the fundraising amendment bill, which is B 298 of 2020. First, let me start with the ruling on the visual sitting and voting announcement, party voting during the special sitting. Honorable members are reminded that this is a special sitting with members having connected visually. The sitting will be conducted in terms of our standing rules. So the party voting, as per Rule 288, Section 4 of the rules states that, I quote, the presiding officer or chairperson must, before or at the start of the discussion on the matter, expressly inform members if a party vote will be taken. Close quote. In line with the above, I confirm that the voting will take place on the fundraising amendment bill B298 of 2020. Sister.
Sorry, Deputy Speaker, it should be 29B, not 298.
Yes, 298. Yes, I can see that I made a mistake. Thank you for that. B29B of 2020. A party vote is a collective vote on behalf of all the members of the party present at this visual sitting, up to the total membership of that party in the city. I will, however, allow an opportunity for any individual member to vote differently from his or her party or to abstain. If any member wishes to do so, we will now proceed with the rest of the matters on the order paper. Starting with the apologies. The first apologies is the one of Honorable Mrs. N. Dubengube, the Premier of KwaZulu-Natal, who is abroad on official duty from the 15th to the 23rd of September 2023. Honorable Mrs. N. Pinkonyeni, MEC for Finance, as a political engagement. Honorable S. Sinkosi, MEC for Public Works and Human Settlement, who has a departmental engagement in Tozini local municipality. Honorable Mrs. N. Sibidla and Honorable Mr. N. Tombela, who have a special political engagement. Honorable members, we have received an apology from the Honorable Ms. P.A.T.N. Buthelezi, who cannot be with us today. As you know, she is in deep mourning following the passing away of her father, Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi. Needless to say, our hearts goes out to her and the entire extended family during their time of sorrow. And the last apology is that of Honorable S.E. Manale and Honorable M.E. Pagati, who have party commitments. So we can now move to item 3, which is our announcements. Do we have any announcements from the Office of the Premier?
Good morning, Speaker. Speaker, we do not have any announcements. Thank you.
Okay. We can now move to formal motions or notices by the Chief Whip. Chief Whip, any announcements or motions?
Greetings, Honorable Deputy Speaker Velase. Greetings to all members and officials. There is nothing from the side of the Chief Whip.
Thank you, Honorable Chief Whip. So we can move on the order of the day, which is a debate on the voting on the conferral of a final mandate on the Fund Raising Amendment Bill B29B of 2020. I will now call upon the chairperson of the Social Development Portfolio Committee on the Fundraising Amendment Bill B29B 2020, Honorable G.N. Swarboy Ntombela, for 3 minutes.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Speaker, this is the report of the Portfolio Committee of Social Development on the Fundraising Amendment Bill B29B 2020. The Fundraising Amendment Bill B29B 2020 before the Portfolio Committee as a Section 76 Bill 6 to amend the Act of 1978 with a view to bring about the dissolution of various dormant funds to streamline governance and strengthen efficient services to affected communities. The bill seeks to rationalize the Act by consolidating Disaster Relief Fund, the Refuge Relief Fund, the Social Relief Fund, and the State President Fund into the Disaster Relief and National Social Development Fund to focus on proactive mitigation of disasters and promote the social development of communities. The committee conducted 3 public hearings on the 6th of June in Mkungundlovu at the KwaZulu-Natal legislature, on the 7th of June in eThekwini Umkhumbane Hall, and on the 11th July 2023 in Gwambonambi Hall, Umfolozi Municipality. And the closing dates for written submission was on the 8th August 2023 at 4. The public hearings on the bill were widely advertised in the KwaZulu-Natal legislature website. The print media copies of the bill were also distributed to all municipal districts and were also made available during the hearings. Honorable Speaker, the Portfolio Committee held its meeting visually on the 20th of September 2023 to consider the draft minutes and the responses of Select Committee on Health and Social Services, and noted that all 9 provinces supported the bill. The committee, noting the comprehensive responses by the department in relation to all proposed amendments, including those from KZN, in relation to all the amendments, including those from KZN, is satisfied that the issues raised by the public hearings were extensively covered in the bill. In conclusion, as Honorable Speaker, the committee recommends that the legislature must confer authority on 1, the KZN provincial delegation to the NCOP to cast a vote in favor of the fundraising amendment bill B29B 2020 at the relevant NCOP committee, and 2, the head of the provincial delegation to the NCOP or a delegate designated by the head of the delegation to cast a vote in favor of the fundraising amendment bill B29B 2020 at the NCOP plenary. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. This is the full report of the Social Development Portfolio Committee's final and a voting mandate on the fundraising amendment bill B29B 2020. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Sorboy. We are supposed to go to our first speaker from ACDP, and as you know that you've got an apology. Same thing applies on ATM. There is also an apology. So we'll go straight to Minority Front, Honorable S. Takarash Bansi, for 3 minutes.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, the 1978 bill required the overhaul some 45 years later. The consolidation of various archaic acts with similar aims for diverse groups now have a uniform approach to disasters and hardships faced by individuals, groups, institutions, and the business sector. The ramifications are broad and therefore needs careful design and shape, the success of which rests solely on the quality and fit of the 5 full-time board members and the remaining 5 members. It is hoped that we have chosen the right vessel, which will have the full philanthropic support annually which should cater for cash and kind donations, as well as a volunteer support base, all of which good regulations would ensure. There must be regulations in the case of partial self-sufficiency, where National Treasury should have a benchmark right level of subsidy when required. Similarly, the relationship with the PIC must be transparent to all stakeholders, given PIC's past scandals, and the MF recommends strengthening this legislation with a cap percentage that PIC can access, and that the return on investment, which can then be deemed as an indirect source of revenue, be looked at as a creative income stream. Finally, this bill is supported by the minority front as it is transformative. The above ideas and the practices designed for success must be future-proofed by capable board members who must be responsible, accountable, and adaptable to our complex and disruptive environment. This bill provides an opportunity to reframe how they maximize values and for whom. With these words, the Minority Front supports the conferring of the final mandate on the Fundraising Amendment Bill B298/2020. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Chakaraspanti. We can move now straight to the NFP. Honorable CM Shinga for 3 minutes.
Good morning, Honorable Speaker and honorable members and everyone. The NFP supports and welcomes the amendment of the bill, as the bill is outdated and needs to be inclusive. The Fundraising Act of 1978 was created in the 1970s by the apartheid administration to give social assistance to the nation's white minority at the time. The money amassed in the different funds was mostly distributed to white populations who were supposedly affected by natural disasters, terrorist attacks, acts of social violence, and refugees that at the time backed the regime's rule. Honorable Speaker, it should be noted that the Non-Profit Organization Act has taken over some of the functions of the 1978 legislation because fundraising has been taken over by the organizations themselves, with the minor part remaining for the state to solicit funding from the community and international donors. It is thus prudent to amend the Fundraising Act to include the Disaster Relief and National Social Development Fund. This will also address disaster risk minimization, which is a requirement of the Disaster Management Act. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Shinga. Now let's move to the EFF. Honorable HP Siliza for 3 minutes. It looks like the EFF is absent. So we'll move straight to the DA. Honorable M. Tembe for 3 minutes.
Thank you, Speaker. Good morning, Speaker. At the onset, I would like to state that the Democratic Alliance is in full support of this bill. We support any bill that brings any support to NGOs. It is important that they do this, which makes it easier for them to access funding of such a nature. Our province has been the unfortunate recipients of many disasters, some of which have taken place concurrently during the last few years. The one thing we witnessed was just how unprepared for these disasters our municipalities and our province is. The real heroes who are mostly at the forefront of these disasters and during the aftermath were the NGOs. They were on the ground and also tended to be the first responders. Yet during this stressful time, some NGOs found it difficult to access government disaster funding. Some of the money promised to them is yet to be distributed today. Governments need to assist NGOs to function optimally by fully capacitating them, particularly during the times of crisis. KZN Disaster Management Unit was also a disaster on its own. Hopefully, a bill such as this can be good use to mitigate some of these negative factors experienced. For a year, vulnerable people were left to sleep in halls under inhumane and unsafe conditions after the floods. They simply had no alternatives. NGOs also ran out of funding to continue helping those displaced by the floods. The DA sincerely hopes that this consolidated amendment fund will make sure that these conditions never happen again. This bill is not technically controversial in nature. It aims to streamline the administrative process in which the relief fund and enable more efficient services to the poor communities to reduce costs. More importantly, Speaker, this bill will ensure that financial statements are audited by the Auditor General, which will ensure that transparency and accountability measures are in place. There does, however, need to be a strong watchdog when it comes to a fund of this nature, and particularly when election season is upon us. So as much as this bill is needed, there also needs to be strong oversight when it comes to the funds of this nature. As the DA, we support the bill. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Tembe. We now move to the IFP Speaker, Honorable P. Govender, for 3 minutes.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Speaker. Greetings to all members of the legislature who are in this sitting. Honorable Deputy Speaker, the Fundraising Amendment Bill B29B of 2020 seeks to amend the Fundraising Act number 107 of 1978 with a view to introduce the Disaster Relief Fund and the National Social Development Fund. In so doing, the requirements of the Disaster Management Act number 57 of 2002 and related disaster management frameworks. The 1978 Act consisted of 5 different funds, some of which have been dormant for many years. These dormant funds contain sums of money that were difficult to access, so that now that this amendment bill aims to consolidate the Disaster Relief Fund, the Refugee Relief Fund, the Social Relief Fund, as well as the State President's Fund into 2 funds, namely the Disaster Relief Fund and the National Social Development Fund. This will align the Fundraising Act with the Disaster Management Act and the Public Finance Management Act and other financial frameworks. Honorable Deputy Speaker, during the public hearings, community members raised concerns about how the funds will be managed and whether communities will benefit directly if and when disasters strike. Knowing the high levels of corruption and maladministration in various sectors, this is indeed a valid concern. As the IFP, we are also concerned about the administration and disbursement of about 110 million rand that will be administered by the board. Representatives from the NPO sector and the youth raised concern about their representations on the board. It is good to note that the process of the selection of board members will be outlined in the regulations attached to this bill. In this regard, I want to encourage interested sectors of the community to stand for nomination and to nominate persons who will represent their interests. Honorable Deputy Speaker, as the Inkatha Freedom Party, we are also concerned about the funds reaching the right people when disasters do strike. Therefore, the Inkatha Freedom Party, having considered the proposed amendments and community submissions, decides to support the Fundraising Amendment Bill B29B of 2020. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable.
Yeah.
Let's now move to the African National Congress, Honorable Nomakiki Machola, for 3 minutes.
Thank you, Speaker. Honorable the Premier, Speaker of the Legislature, honorable members of the Executive Council, Chief Whip and the Deputy Chief Whip of the Legislature, honorable members of the Provincial Legislature, distinguished guests, Sanbonan. Thank you, Speaker. Can I start confirming that the ANC fully support the Fundraising Amendment Bill, B29B 20/2020. Honorable Speaker, our purpose in being present today is to put the government's Batopili principles into effect. The Batopili concept was developed by our government in 1997 to advance the notion of putting people first and cultivate a culture of effective and efficient service delivery within the public sector. It's encouraging to see that our leaders are acting to instill optimism among the people of KwaZulu-Natal. We cannot deny that everyone has a right to receive basic social services. Hence, the Department of Social Development provides many such services to our people. And we have seen work being done to help many families who were and remain impacted by various catastrophes. Above that, this amendment bill is here to further lay a strong basis for our people's physical, emotional, psychosocial, cognitive, and healthy development by bringing together the National Social Development Fund and Disaster Relief Fund, thereby rendering the legislation more sensible. Observably, there is no bigger work before us than enhancing the lives of numerous people of our province through the government's measures designed to combat poverty and underdevelopment. As a result, we were elated to have taken part in these public hearings, as we have been mandated by Section 42, subsection 4 of the Constitution, and in turn, the legislature that also required us as the Portfolio Committee of Social Development to enable public participation in the committee procedures of the legislature and its committees under Section 118 of the Constitution. Honorable members of this august house, what I do want to emphasize is that our leadership is dedicated to working with our people in identifying workable solutions to the problems that have been identified in various circumstances. And as a caring government, we are certainly aware that only if our people have access to the resources necessary to support themselves during their time of need, with the necessary amendments highlighted by our chairperson, we will indeed create a thriving and compassionate society. This reiterates our commitment to the promise we made to our people in the Freedom Charter and the Constitution. Our communities will continue to receive basic services thanks to our steadfast efforts. The ANC fully supports the Fundraising Amendment Bill B29B/2020. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Matoli. We're now going to receive a response to the debate by the Chairperson, Honorable G.N. Sarpoy Ntombela, for 2 minutes.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, let me thank all the members that have participated in the debate. I would like to thank all the members of the Social Development Portfolio Committee for showing their dedication and commitment to the public hearings so that we'll be able to finalize the bill. I would also like to extend my appreciation to the DSD support staff, especially the legal advisor, Ms. Nozipho Kuzwayo. The bill is a straightforward bill and a technical bill and is not controversial. All parties in the Social Development Portfolio Committee supported the bill, meaning that the bill has full support of the KwaZulu-Natal Social Development Committee. I humbly ask the KwaZulu-Natal legislature to support the bill, Honorable Speaker. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Sarpoy. And thank you, honorable members. We have now come to the end of the debate on the Fundraising Amendment Bill B29B/2020. The House now needs to confer a final and a voting mandate on the bill. So as per the request of the Social Development Portfolio Committee, I now put the question to the House as follows. The KwaZulu-Natal legislature agrees to confer authority on 1, the KZN provincial delegation to the NCOP to cast a vote in favor of the Fundraising Amendment Bill B29B/2020 at the relevant NCOP Select Committee And 2, the head of the provincial delegation to the NCOP or a delegate designated by the head of the delegation to cast a vote in favor of the fundraising amendment bill B29B/2020 at the NCOP plenary. As I indicated prior to the start of the debate, I will now go party by party to obtain the vote and thereafter check if any member wishes to record an individual vote. Starting with the IFP.
Speaker, honourable members, the IFP supports.
Thank you. The DA.
Greetings, Honorable Deputy Speaker. The Democratic Alliance supports the motion before the House in support of the bill.
Thank you. The EFF.
Greetings, Honourable Speaker. On behalf of the EFF supports the bill. Thank you.
The NFP.
Thank you once again, Honourable Speaker, honourable members. The National Freedom Party supports the bill.
Then the Minority Front.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. The Minority Front supports the conferral of the final mandate of this bill. Thank you.
Okay. The ACDP, are they here? There's an apology. The ATM, there is an apology. Lastly, the ANC.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker and honourable members. The African National Congress supported the bill. Thank you.
Members, I have the votes of all parties. Is there any members who wish to express an individual vote that is different from their party vote or to abstain? If there is none, Secretary, can I ask for the tally of the votes?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The voting results are as follows. Votes in favor, 53. Votes against, no. Abstentions, no.
Honourable members, I therefore formally declare the results of the vote as follows. Vote in favor, 53. Votes against, 0. Abstention, 0. The ayes have it. So, I'll rather repeat it again. Honourable members, I therefore formally declare the results of the vote as follows. Vote in favor, 53. Votes against, 0. Abstention, 0. The ayes have it. Okay, Secretary, can you read the vote? That brings us to the end of our today's business. So only what is left is administrative. I therefore declare today's sitting Done. Closed. Ngibonge-ke kuwo wonke umuntu.
Siyathokoza Somlomo.
Enkosi mnisi wemfundo.
Order, Mr. Speaker.
Long live Somlomo. Khubela.
Sawubona Makhubela, and thank you, Deputy Speaker.
Siyathokoza.
Thank you so much.
Ngithukile ukuthi uHerix usekhona.
Siyathokoza. Siyathokoza Cleopatra.
Gloria wena. Ama-rules wonke asidile, ma-debate uyaxolisa, mase kuvota ukhona, hayi ngeke guys.
Ubani loyo?
UHerix lo mbuzayo hayi.
Awu madoda. Wenzeni uHerix? Enzeni ingane yomfazi?
Bebhaliwe yini uHerix ku-speakers list ngoba bengabhalwanga.
Wenzeni ingane yomfazi?
It's not make sure.
Bekubhalwe icela phela.
Bye, everybody.
Nasenithathana ngoba ngithi kusaselinyangana nje.
Siyathokoza.
Hayi siyafunda phela.
Mntana inkosi kabisa.
Siyathokoza Mthombeni, siyathokoza.
Nampo-ke nabathokozayo.
Siyathokoza Fraser.
Awubeka kancane.
Siyathokoza Tebetebe.
Awubeka kancane. Bayazi abangibiza kanjalo. Ama-light
Hello Debza. Hello Debza.
Awuqualify.
Hello Debza.
Awuqualify.
Ya kabisa mthokozisi.
Unjani Mthombeni omkhulu. Ibishop lakithi liyaphila elenza umsebenzi obonakalayo.
Kuyacaca
Ngikhululeke njengoba ningasaphuma emhlanganweni.
Nababhasayo, naba-specialize ekubhaseni siyathemba kuzokwehla.
Alo mfundisi oqovayo, uqova ngalaphi namhlanje?
Kabisa. Sisemsebenzini nje.
Uyoqova ngalaphi?
Wanisiza uSpeaker wanibiza senikhumbulele.
Akanongoma. Hayi, uyaflapho hey. Ngohlanza amabandla lapho hey. Wasohlanza amabandla lo.
Asambe besiyela
ngonongoma. Wasabenzisa ngonongoma uqoba khona ngempela yini?
Iphendule hayi ngiqobe emhlathuzi.
Uqoba kanongoma ngempela yini?
Makutsha ngiqobe emhlathuzi.
Uyayazi mkhuba yakhe. Hey Nkosi yami, engabe nibhasa abangaki-ke kulokhu Thixo.
Uyibambele ugabhisa kulo mcimbi wokusasa.
Wehlala engabe ubhasa abangaki hey bakwethu safela
Simgadile.
Bye Mthombeni. Bye Mthombeni abanye angibazi.
Kanongoma abantu badinga i-service delivery kanongoma ozasamba.
Bye Mthombeni.
Kunjalo Shimwe. Kunjalo akubhaswe kiwe kanongoma nge-service delivery.
Nayi lento ingavumi ngiphume. Hey nababhale wejobe.
Ubhizi uhlela lento yokubhasa.
Ubalekela ukubhasa usahambe ngempela.
Iya lesimdida, iyamdida manje akusavaleki nalakuvalwa khona. Kade ngikukhuza.
Online registration.
Kade umkhuza ngalento yakhe.
Usathana banamabibane ne-online registration.
Sobona. Bayabonwa.
Unlalele njalo umntimandi uthulile nje usethu.